Hey guys, welcome to the Table Talk Radio Show. I'm your host. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Tanisha Simpkins, and we also have Pastor Nathan Austin. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Awesome. And we also have Dr. Teresha Lee. How are you, lady?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. You look so cute. Every week
Aw.
you have a different hairstyle. I like that with the hair pulled
Yeah.
back with the braids. Looking all fresh today.
Yeah, just a little quarantine something.
Of course, that's what it's called. Well, this is my quarantine something. This is my quarantine for me. But oh my God, can you believe it? Like right now, we just talked about it on yesterday. But can you imagine the numbers now? Seems like we talk about it every week for Corona. I don't know because I don't know, some people believe in it, some people are not believing it for the simple fact they're not seeing anyone, like the previous time. Um, Whereas we were seeing a lot of people, you knew some people were there, but now it's more cases and but I don't think any as many deaths. So hopefully they have some remedies that they have better than before that are catching these that no one's actually dying, but it had that all of the ICU units are full. You had just recently, hello, you had just recently Miami just did, most of their mayors down there had a press conference saying that now you'll be sanctioned if you're walking around without a mask in public, not just inside of a restaurant, but in public, period, because the numbers are growing so high. And I don't think people are really taking it serious because now that we're doing a lot of openings, people are more comfortable now. You see the mask just hanging off, not even on really. People just gotten really, really, really comfortable with in each other's presence.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anything that's invisible is really hard for people to take serious. And it's not like other, diseases where there's bumps and scars. It's more so internal. And so that way, when you don't see anybody, it's because more than likely they're in quarantine. But it's still out there. That's one of the fears that we have still as a church, because in most businesses and establishments, BSO just went through this and other organizations. If someone is infected, you pretty much have to shut it down and kind of go through that whole process. So it's very touchy in this season. But it's still out there for sure. It's still out there, but it's invisible. So it's just hard for people to take serious. And I think a lot of people never really took it serious. They only took it serious because it was just a mandatory shutdown. And so when the restrictions of the shutdown orders have been kind of relaxed, and so now we're seeing people out and they're going back to the way it was before the shutdown. That's my opinion.
I agree with you, Pastor A. I think because people can't physically see it, they're like, it's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to get it. I'll be fine. And even I think what further pushes that agenda is the asymptomatic people that do have it.
Right.
So they may know somebody who has it or had it, and they don't have any symptoms. So they're like, it's not even that big a deal. It's not even affecting me. So that's helping them to take it lightly. And we can't overlook the fact that people have been stuck in the house so long. I think some people just don't care.
Right.
They just want to go outside.
Right, right. Right. And I think you're right, Dr. Lee. Some people just really just like whatever. If I get it, I get it. I'll fight it. That's their mentality of thinking. And another thing is we have to be very careful with the mask that we're wearing. At first everyone was trying and breaking their neck to get the blue mask, which is the N9 fives and the
Right.
N45, whatever, trying to get those masks. Now everyone wearing these decorative masks that are not safe. They just have it because they have their logos, their church logos, their business logos, or whatever saying that they have. I just say that if you do wear them, I wear my blue, the surgical mask inside of it, or whoever makes it have them put a pocket, a filter pocket in there for you. at least.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's
but
definitely
just
wearing something to get into a place. It's people still putting on shirts and scarves, and it's just again they're not really trying to be safe. They're just trying to get into the establishment. So it says wear a mask. So that's what people are doing. They're wearing a mask. But again, it's just we just saw it with D.L. Hughley. Asymptomatic, no
oh
symptoms.
yeah, he
Gets
fell
on
out.
stage and fell out, but he confirmed that he now has it. And the problem was things he was in a comedy club, nobody else was wearing a mask from the
Right.
shots that we've seen. And so now what do those people do? Some people are asking why the heck was he in that small comedy club? But that's a whole nother story. But now again, they have to figure out what they're gonna do. Everybody has to get tested now. So
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah,
it's
and
a new
I
normal for a
encourage
lot of people.
everybody to, yeah, y'all just be careful out there. Don't come around me. That's all I got to say. Don't be all up in my face, because I'm like this. The other day people was coming. I'm like, they was like, oh yeah, and I forgot. I need you to
Yeah.
remember. I
Yeah.
really need you to
But you know
remember.
what?
Don't.
That's the new thing, though. How do you greet people formally and informally? Do you
Right.
elbow them? Do you just stand there awkwardly with a mask covering half your face and your eyes wide? Like,
Right.
how do you? Because some people were leaning
Well,
in to
people are
hug.
reaching out now. They reaching out to hug. I don't want to hug you.
Yeah.
Just give me the bump, because when I get in my car, I'm going all the way to the elbow. That's what I'm doing. Me personally, I have it in the car. I have it in my purse. I make sure my daughter have it in her bag. I go all the way to the elbow, because if I'm doing this, unless I have a shirt on, long sleeve, but that's what I'm doing. Like, I want to get my eyebrows done, Teresa, but I can't. You can't be all up in my face.
Girl, I had to
They
handle this on
everywhere.
my own. I had to handle it on my own. I said,
I
Lord, just
tried,
please
but
don't let me lose the eye.
it wasn't turning out right. It's not turning out right.
But what do you do when you have to greet people for a living? What that and again,
Right.
that's that's
Right.
what I
Hi,
do.
thank you for that. Hi, thank you for me. The
And
head nod.
people feel personal about their
Yeah.
pastor and they haven't seen you in a while. So,
Right,
they may be coming in for the hug before you get time to put that elbow out. So,
right.
what do you do? How do you handle that?
You got to have an
Because
armor
I caught
bear.
myself
Armor
hugging,
bear. That's what the
shaking.
armor bear for.
Well, that's true.
I was
Armor
watching
bear need
somebody
to
yesterday.
intercede.
They were laying hands and they had a healing line. I say, "Oh, ye of great faith." He was. I said, I don't think we're doing any anointing services, and I don't think we're doing that anytime soon. We're gonna we're
Yeah.
gonna we're gonna do the Benny Hinn's or something. We're gonna wave at them from a distance. But
Wave in their direction for their healing.
right,
All right, Pastor.
right. The healing is not
Oh
in my
no.
hands; it's in God's hands. So I don't
There
have to
you
touch
go.
it to be healed. I can speak the word. So that's what we're gonna do moving forward for a while.
Okay. So Dr. Lee today had something on her Facebook page. I thought I put it on here, but as we talk, I guess I'll find it. She was talking about opportunity. And I asked her the question, for opportunity, are we ready? What makes us ready? How do we know we ready? And she said something very good. She didn't have a share button. But it was very good, and it was something like, yeah, I know, but sometimes we have to be reminded.
Yeah.
And I just want you to talk about it just a little bit, Dr. Lee, when it comes to opportunity and are we ready?
Okay. Well, some things I share with everybody, some things I save just for table talk.
Okay.
So there you go. That's why I went, see?
Work it, girl. Work it.
Yeah. Thank you, Pastor A. Thank you for the anointing you sprinkled on over this way. So I was sharing a story. It's no secret for most of you all who watch us regularly that I am a mother of twins. When I was 32 weeks, I was talking on the phone to my husband when I instantly got this craving for a sandwich. And I was like, okay, babe, well, I'm going to talk to you later. I'm going to go get a sandwich. He was like, all right, I'll talk to you. I hang up the phone. And before I could get off the bed, I was pushed back on the bed by the force of my water breaking. So at 32 weeks, ready or not, my twins were coming. I shared that today to say that sometimes you can prep, you can prepare, you can research, you can get other people's opinions, but at some point you have to just stop and say, I'm ready. Even if you don't feel ready, even if you think, okay, no, let me give myself a little more time, you just have to go for it. Because what will happen is you can begin to drown yourself in preparing. You can begin to overthink it. You can begin to overanalyze how you should do things. And that perfect spot is never going to happen. There's always going to be more to do. So I was encouraging people the same way I encourage you, that sometimes there are great opportunities and you just have to go for it. You have to take that chance, whether you feel ready or not. And trust, most times when I was nervous and I didn't want to start off and I had to make myself stop, I actually found that not only was I ready, I was overqualified.
Oh wow. Overqualified. Check her out. You know, she's so smart. She's
Right.
overqualified.
Wow.
But that's good.
interesting.
That's good because sometimes, you know, and I thought about that for me. I'm an overthinker. I'm an extreme overthinker. When I say extreme, some people say, well, hurry up, Tanisha, just do it. And I'm like, I got to think on it. Hold on, wait a minute. I got to put my cons and pros and let me put my cons and pros a second time. Huh?
I say the Bible says think on these things.
Yes, so I'm thinking and thinking and then thinking and thinking and then thinking. You know, and then I'm like, okay, Tanisha, just do it. Now I've already done it and executed it in my mind, but I haven't just done it like, let me just go ahead and do it. And I always tell people I'm a slow mover. They'll say, how, when you do this or you do this? I say, no, I'm a slow mover because I've already thought on it and planned it out, but I haven't really just pushed it out as of yet because I'm thinking of so many different variables of the coulds and the woulds and all that stuff there. So I'm an overthinker when it comes to that. And you know, I try to be right there on an opportunity. You know, but sometimes I can say in my lifetime, some have passed me by just by not just acting on it. You know, me personally, I can speak for Tanisha.
Yeah, that was good, Dr. Lee, because I think 2 weeks ago we started this series at our church. Don't miss your moment. It's a teaching series, so I'm Dr. Lee. I'm not preaching like it's people in the church. It's a teaching series, and the first 2 installments of that, one was trusting your talents, and the one Sunday yesterday was being paralyzed by the pool. And both of those deal with similar instances where you got to trust your talent. You have to trust whatever it is God has given you. So many people are so talented, but we don't trust what it is that God has given us. And at some point, you just have to go out and, as you know, it's saying goes, step out on faith, and you just got to do it. And one of the things we talked about in yesterday's message was that here's this man. He's paralyzed by the pool. And he's there. Other people are being healed in the pool. But what the revelation I ended up receiving from that, when he got healed, he didn't use the pool. And so what that means is that he was in a place that he didn't necessarily have to be in because he thought that that was the only place he can be healed. And so there are people that are working in businesses or working for jobs, and they won't step out on faith because they believe that that job is the only way they can make money.
Yeah, right.
And they don't understand that they are literally paralyzed. And what's going on in this season is that what everybody is showing us, the companies are showing us, listen, we could have been paying y'all to stay at home. We've been dragging y'all into these corporations for years, docking you when you were late, and you just as productive as being home, So what we're being taught is sometimes you just have to do it. In this season, we've been forced to do a lot of things, but that's been good because we're doing things that we normally would not have done if it were not for this pandemic. So you know, hey,
And I know it's a pandemic and protests, but you know, there's a lot of opportunity in 2020. I know people are joking about throw it away, let's start over, but I don't want people to miss. There's a lot of opportunity in 2020. There is still a lot of promise in 2020. And as a matter of fact, this pandemic only emphasized the promise and the potential that this year has in a way that we've just never seen before.
Come on, girl, say it.
But you know, if we want to get caught up in the cliches of, you know, just reposting and sharing these negative sayings of let's start over again and who's taking a drive back to 2019, I'm jumping in, then that's the mindset you're going to have. But when you really look at things, I actually am looking at totally and completely repurposing my business, because I realize now that there are some other opportunities that would really benefit me and my family, but I never considered it before this.
Right.
And I'm glad you said that, because just recently I was redoing my website, and I'm like, you know, you need to update your website, pretty much, update your website or add some things to your website. Then I realized I have so many different opportunities, Dr. Lee, that I never really act on. And I started realizing I need to start categorizing some of these opportunities. And then I asked a friend of mine to jump on board with me, because there are opportunities for her too. You know, I was like, you know, with music, I get so many requests for music placement. So, you know, I need to categorize that, and then categorize some other things that I'm doing with film. And then I'm like, and then my own personal, I'm like, I've been wanting to write this one particular, I said, I didn't say really book, you know, because I think, you know, I'm doing me, I think movies. So I'm thinking like a series, and I thought, do it. And then when I seen that today, and I'm just gonna be honest, when I seen that today, I said, okay, I keep getting too many confirmations. Tanisha, you're overthinking it. Just go ahead and just, you know, write your, you know, not just one, but series of what. And then a thought came to me, what location of what I wanted to do for because I had been looking at some other things, doing my own research, and I said, you know what, I really got to do it. But sometimes we feel like we don't have the economics to do it. Yeah. And you know, Pastor A, right now, I think we was talking, it's the best time. Just like you're saying, Teresa, 2020 is actually the best time economically. I know some people say, well, girl, I lost my job, you know, and all of that there. But that was that dependence on that, go get a city job, stay there for 20 years, retire and whatever. And now look what has happened, you know. But, you know, now economically, I think, you know, Pastor A, it's the best time. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, again, it goes back to don't miss your moment. This is a moment. This is a moment in time where we must capitalize. If you are Black, and this is real, you know, we talk about opportunities. This is an opportunity where people are going to support Black, because it's a popular thing to do right now. And so anybody who is good at anything, if you market yourself in this season, people are going to support you. If not for the sole reason, and we're talking about people that don't necessarily look like us, if not but for the sole reason to say that I supported somebody that's Black. And so if for all the entrepreneurs out there, for all the business owners out there, there are several opportunities. There are small business loans. This is the season where you can get a loan almost for no interest rate. Some as little as 1%. Those things are out there. If you've been thinking about starting something, you've been thinking about writing something, you've been thinking about, you know, shows such as this one. We've tapping into social media platforms that everybody is on social media now. People that were not on social media before. I was just talking to seniors at my church, and they, you know, we jokingly said, you know, because our church has been online and on social media, it forced older people to jump into something that they never thought they would jump into before. And so the market is open, and it's overly saturated, but it's not. I was talking, we were having a planning meeting in our church, and I advise other churches as well. Do you not know that even there was a thought that said, as far as daycares and schools, there were too many of them, oversaturated. Well, what has happened now is, at least in Broward County, they're saying that child care facilities can only operate at 50% capacity. 50% capacity. So if a school had 100 kids, they can only see 50, then that means there's room for growth in this area. So everything now, there is room. If you have a food truck,
that's a good point.
Not once popular. Now people want a food truck where they can go get something and go. They're not going into restaurants. So this is a perfect opportunity. Put your business plan together. If you already have a thriving business, this is your opportunity. It's no longer I can't afford these loans. No, these loans are readily available, and they're especially available for the minority business owners, probably even more so than 2 months ago, because they are afraid to tell a small business no, because these banks now don't want the backlash. They know that now we're going for the gusto. They don't want 15 people to say we went to Chase Bank and they denied us. That's bad publicity right now. And so we have to capitalize on this season. Dr. Lee, I believe I agree with you. We started this year off as a year of open doors. That was our thing. And I've been telling my church, Corona didn't close the doors. I still believe that the doors are open. They're open wider now than ever before, but we've got to look at it from a different dynamic. Yeah, I know it. Hey, 2020 has been crap for in a lot of areas, but there's still opportunity to become everything you desire to become. You just got to look at it from a different perspective.
And some of these, hold on, Dr. Lee, and some of these banks like PNC right now, if you look up PNC, they have a lot of different programs that are they're out there for you, for your business. And remember, you don't have to have filed in 2019. So that's a good part that's actually helping the loans. Y'all listen, y'all hear me now. So if you've already had your LLC before a certain time and you haven't even filed for your 2019, you're still good. So stop having that fear that, I don't have enough, or I have too much, as your business. If you need it, go ahead and do it, even if you need it to enhance your business. Just like what you said, Pastor A. I'm in a program with some mom advocates, and what they're doing now, Dr. Lee, is they're looking for people who have a home or who have a space for their children, because even if they're home, they can't attend them for virtual learning.
Right.
So they're looking for others
a home
for that space. Watch over them, because they're doing it for middle school and high school. I'm home, but I can't help you, child. You know what I'm saying? So they're looking for that, and I'll give you the group information. But yeah, they're looking for that. So those are different opportunities where you can see, okay, well, I got laid off or I'm not working, but I have this I'm home by myself. I have all these different rooms, or whatever the case may be. I got Wi-Fi, right? Let me go ahead and do this. Let me take a CPR class or whatever they feel might be needed to help others. Instead of them going on Craigslist and doing all this stuff here, because that's what they're doing.
And the schools as well. They're talking about in Broward again. What, 2 days off, 2 days on, 3 days off?
3 off.
The elementary school kids, and so someone that can teach an elementary school child, hey, I could take 5 kids. You know what? And so there's just so many opportunities out there. We just got to think outside of the box, and people are willing to step up to the plate and pay for these services that were unfathomable, 3 months ago.
Right. So I just want to shift over a little bit and talk about something that happened recently. If we never was interested in NASCAR, the last couple of days would have been a great time to be interested in it. I'm just gonna say this, all that NASCAR and dirt biking, and I want to say this started us, especially dirt biking. We've been dirt biking as kids for a long time before it started, as a sport for dirt biking. At least in our neighborhood, we were. And right now, it's a young man. I think it's out of North Carolina, as a matter of fact. His name is Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace, African American. He is. And he's one of a good NASCAR race driver. So when everything was going on, his age had to do it. Where he, come from, he did the Black Lives Matter. He put it on his car. He used that as a slogan. Even though he has many endorsements that he wears on him, but that was one of them that he just wanted to put there to display. Now remember when they do NASCAR and how many laps they do? About 20. I don't know, about 20 or 30 laps. They do a lot of laps. Uh, so you see that Black Lives Matter go around 20 times. Well, somebody didn't feel pretty good about it, and they put a noose in his garage. And it's like, okay, well, how did they do that? With security and cameras, because that's a private place. So it only had to be the people who you racing with, I would assume. I'm just by assumption by saying that allegedly. So they are saying they're doing the investigation or will do the investigation. So they said. I don't think it take that long. But as a solidarity, some people did come out to support him. He drove in front. They walked behind. I think the owner, I forgot his name. He came out there as well to give support. Exactly. What's his name again? Say it again.
Richard Petty is his owner.
Petty, yeah. Petty. To give support. So I thought it was a wonderful thing, and I think us as a Black community, if you don't know anything about him, Bubba Wallace, look him up, give him your support. His number is number 43. Like Kaplan's number is number 7. His number is number 43. Hashtag 43. Hashtag Bubba Wallace. Hashtag Black NASCAR driver. Some more hashtags. but support him, and I thought it was good that he do. But go ahead.
He's the only, of course, Black NASCAR driver in the sport, and not only did the Black Lives, and I don't think that this news has to do with the Black Lives Matter. I think this news has to do with they have now officially banned the Confederate flag in NASCAR, and that was a huge thing in NASCAR. They've banned not only the flag, they're really trying to ban people from even wearing the NASCAR, no paraphernalia, anything that deals with the Confederate flag. And so some are suggesting really that has been the source behind this. Now, let me throw a monkey wrench into the plan, because my wife's a huge NASCAR fan, so I follow NASCAR a lot. Tanisha, what you're saying is true as it relates to the difficulty of someone being able to go inside of what will be considered a locker room for NASCAR, the garage, if you will, but it's essentially a locker room. And some are suggesting, and they're praying, and I'm a little nervous because I'm like you, there are cameras everywhere. But some are suggesting that because NASCAR has not really found out who did it, either they don't want to let us know who did it, or it's a Jesse Smollett. What was his name? Smollett. You know what I'm talking about. Empire guy.
Incident. Yeah.
Right. So I'm praying it's not the latter. But I'm fearful that NASCAR, although they're supporting them, they may not want to come out and say it. But it's very difficult to walk inside of a garage with millions of dollars worth of equipment and nobody knows that they're in there. So it's going to be interesting. But the world has kind of rallied around Bubba Wallace even before this incident, him being the only Black NASCAR, and NASCAR stepping up to the plate to support their only Black driver. Really did my heart good for NASCAR. Because I have inside jokes about my wife. I've gone to the NASCAR Hall of Fame. I mean, she just loves NASCAR. And so, but it's done my heart good to know that they are supporting, and they're trying to be progressive. And so we got to give them a shout out for that. Right.
Yeah, shout out Bubba Wallace, hashtag that. Yeah, but I didn't even think about the other, what you were saying, just like the disseminate thing about it could be just that. My mind wasn't there, but I'm glad that you said, and Lord, I pray that would not be be the case, or to even
Yeah,
think
that's
that
what
to
that's
be
what
the case.
that's what the underground NASCAR fans are saying. I'm into all that stuff, man. I mean, I don't know why. I gotta follow it because she follows it. So that's what is being said, and I'm praying to God because
Right.
it's not gonna be good if that's the case, because now NASCAR's got to reverse their position again if that's the case, and so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm praying. We can only pray to God that that's not the case. Some are suggesting because he wasn't getting as much publicity as other drivers that he kind of needed this, but I think he's been getting all the publicity in the world because he's the only black NASCAR driver, and they didn't support him when he did the Black Lives Matter movement. So I don't see why he could or should have done it, but. It's like anybody else. I know rich people who steal. So, hey, it is what it is.
Pastor A, it's funny. When I saw the story, first thing I thought was, I hope this isn't a setup. And I don't know anything about NASCAR, but I thought the same thing. But then I also said in that same breath that the same way we are watching for people who are not supporting us, let's also make sure we're watching for the people that are stepping up. Because there are some people who are stepping up and out of their own ignorance. Because the truth of the matter is, from the average person, if it doesn't directly affect us, we either don't know or don't care.
Right.
So this is shining a light in a way that some people will never understand, because they go to school with people that look like them. They go to church with people that look like them. They shop with people that look like them. They live with people that look like them. So they've never even had a glimpse into what this oppression is, what racism is, other than movies, which we all know are sensationalized. So I said, in the same breath, I pray this is legit. Right. And I commend NASCAR and how they responded to it. It was definitely the right move.
Right. Because if this is not legit, it's going to set, I think, the whole movement back, because now everybody's going to point out that, of course, because that's the narrative. Oh, we just kind of making this up. We're kind of just, everybody. So again,
and see, the unfortunate thing, Pastor A, is that when it comes to the police officer that's scared and shooting people, it's just him. Right. But when it comes to if and when someone, we're not even going to put it on him that he did it, but if someone, anyone does something that is less than, above board, it's all of us. And right. That's the part that's really not fair, because even if it is the case of Jussie Smollett, and God only knows why he did that, I'm still like, why? Why? Right. Just tell me why.
Right. Everybody lost their job because of you, dude. Like,
you just want to hug them. Like, do you need a hug? Because obviously there was some attention-seeking behavior.
I don't know about hug them.
I don't want to hug. I wanted to hug him. Like, Lord, he needs you. He really does. It's intense. But we all get blamed for that, as opposed to one person just saying, that was inappropriate behavior. It's, see how they do.
Right.
And that's the part that's really unfair.
Right. And I'm not throwing it on them, but it's out there, and we can only sit back and watch to see how this is going to play out. But I pray, because again, I'm afraid that if it is, it's going to do damage to the whole entire movement. People are going to take this one incident and enlarge it, and it's going to be a problem. But we'll see. But we're starting to see this. We're starting to see. I've been backlashed by a lot of things. We're starting to see. Yeah, I mean, we're starting to see blacks. I've had this conversation before, and Teresa, you saw it on my page. I've seen, white and black Republicans join this movement per se. And so, the movement is getting big, because this movement is now crossing over party lines. It's crossing over to areas that we never thought it would ever cross over to. And so there's great momentum. And all it takes is for one false narrative to shift everything back, because there are people waiting in the wings to say, I told you they will make it.
Told you so.
I told you it's not as bad as they wanted to believe, and then they're gonna go back and all it. And we just don't need that right now because we've had the greatest momentum as African Americans that we've ever had in this country. People are listening that have never listened before. There are things being put in place that are never being brought before. We're arguing over how powerful something is, but for Republicans to even come together and dare to try to bring a police reform bill to the steps of the White House is unprecedented by itself. So these are just things that are happening, and it's happening for a great reason, but all it takes is one incident and it goes right back to the way it was.
Well, the great news is it's never going to go all the way back because Breonna Taylor's bill was passed.
Right.
So they can no longer knock without entering.
Hallelujah.
To serve a warrant. That was a success. That is a success we can all celebrate. Right. We're still working on getting the officers arrested. 1 out of 3 was arrested. There's some other things in motion, getting Juneteenth recognized as a national holiday. So we got some stuff going. We can't we refuse to leave this fight without a couple licks in.
Right.
And we already got a couple.
Well, it's a lot of things going on. So I hope people don't think that people
we're going for the knockout, and
yes.
we can get it. We can get the knockout. We can get the knockout if we keep the foot on the pedal. And something like this would just be a bad blow. That's my whole point. We're getting things that we never thought we would have gotten, and it's still going. It's still going. People are still listening, and so. You know, we've been at it too long to just be getting a little licks in. I want to see I want to see some knockouts going on.
Yes.
So if we knock it out, then my children won't have to deal with some of the things that we're dealing with right now.
Absolutely. And that's the goal. That's the goal right there.
That's the goal. We haven't had a knockout.
So I want to ask this question. I'm glad that you.
No, go ahead.
I'm glad that you said that about your children.
Okay. So. Go ahead.
All right, knockout. So how do we start teaching, or how do we change this? Because you have kids like they're taking down certain statues or monuments. They have no idea what it even means. You know, they just see it there. You know, they haven't. You know, we have Black History Month, but are we really having you know, Black History Month? Are we really giving them information other than the Martin Luther King, the Jesse Jackson, you know, and those people? You know, are we really giving them history? You know, now that we're in this space, we're in a great space when it comes to us giving knowledge to our Black folks, our Black Americans, whatever you want to be called. It's a great opportunity to have that teaching. You know, it's a great opportunity, you know, when it comes to the business opportunity, create some cars, you know, some urban cars, some intelligent car. I know, Dr. Lee, I know you're probably doing that with your kids, you know, because that's what we do, you know, create a monopoly, Black monopoly. I don't know. They might have it already. I don't know. Be able to create that economics, you know, that we can learn from economic empowerment, create some things of history for us to be able to teach our children's children, other than what the narrative, what they've already have taught us. I just want us to be able to have that opportunity to do that, even with the church. You know, we do a Black History on February. I'm hoping that I can say that the church I did belong to, it was all that in February. We had a whole theatrical thing, you know, for Black History, and hoping that other churches are doing the same thing. You know, this is your church. This is your people. You know, that we're able to show them. You know, this is who you are. You know, we can be anything that we want to be. We don't have to be just a football star, basketball star. And I think right now is the best time they're showing it, because they're not the highlights right now. And I'm so glad about it, you know, that these superstars and athletes and all these people are not just the highlight. The highlight right now, let me tell you something. I had on my Relationship 204 show, why you should listen to Black women. No, it was why you should listen to women, but I just say why you should listen to Black women. And I used it because it was on Meet the Mayors, right? And they had 4 black strong sisters up there, mayors from DC, California, I think San Francisco, from Chicago, and then Atlanta. And these were the mayors who right now were on the front of the line of everything that's going on. And I said, why should you listen to women? Because we're strong like that, because we're resilient like that, because we can handle all of that and some. Can I get an amen?
Amen. Come on. Amens in the comments too, please. Can we get some backing up?
Hearts and amens, hearts and amen, hearts and amen. Because but yeah, but I just want us to.
So I don't have no choice but to listen to black. And I'm married to one, so
thank you, Nikisha. but yeah, I just want us to, while we have this opportunity, to formulate some type of curriculum. I know I don't think I'm the only one that do it. It's something that I learned from my uncle, that we would make up games, or we would make up little trivia and things of that nature. That's something that I've always kept with me. So I buy, like, when I'm out, they be like on sale for $5 a black game, so we buy those things too, in the books and stuff, all these books that we used to read when we were younger, but that they don't read anymore. Why the Cage Bird Sing, Malcolm X, all of these different types of literature.
Yeah.
Now is a perfect time. If they don't want to read it, you're gonna read it anyway, and you're gonna tell me what happened.
Right.
Chapter by chapter. Don't try to read it front and read it back. I want to know chapter by chapter. What happened, because I want to know that that you're learning. You're learning about your history. So when people can talk to you or confront you, you have something to say. You know what I'm saying? You have something to actually say. We did a little trivia. It was a lady. They took down. They took it off the market. Gone with the Wind. They took it off the market. And she was the first woman who won a Oscar. Hattie, I can't think of her last name. But they took that show down because of what it portrayed. I'm okay with it. I don't know if her family will still get royalties or not. But I'm okay with them taking down that image. Because we was long tired of playing mammies and housemaids and housekeepers, and even though our probably grandmas were still doing it, because it ain't that long ago, 200 years ago from slavery, so our grandmas was probably doing it. But we're beyond that now, and that's just something that I want us as a people to teach our children, that we're beyond all this small stuff. We got to get it right now, just like what Pastor A was saying. Right now is the perfect time to excel in your talents and what you want to do. If you want to be a filmmaker, if you want to be a writer, if you want to be a podcaster, if you want to be a news, if you want to be a PR, whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, y'all.
The only thing that frustrates me is that two things, and you gave an interesting perspective about the athletes, because me personally, I can't wait for sports to come back on. But
no, you can't.
there are former athletes, especially God, I don't know why I can't call his name right now. The athlete that's connected to George Floyd, he's been preaching a narrative that is not.
Stephen Floyd.
Athletes are going to take the spotlight away of what's happening, and so they need to sit it out. And you saying what you're saying kind of opened my eyes to that. But what I would say is the troubling thing that we're seeing is African Americans are changing the world and changing history, as George Floyd's daughter said. But unfortunately, they don't have a front story connected to the death. What made MLK more powerful, I believe we would have celebrated MLK if he had not got assassinated, because, thank you, Stephen Jackson, because he had so much prior to his death. What Black America needs now is we need heroes. We need people, and they're out there. We just haven't been able to focus on them. we need people that we can write things about that's not just starting at the point where they died. Like if that's making any sense. The George Floyd story, unfortunately, starts at his death. The Breonna Taylor story starts at her death. Trayvon Martin's story starts at his death. These things are starting simply because they died. And so what I would love to see is we begin to birth a generation that has something worthy of being written about. That's not just they died and because of that this is happening. And so that's my take on it. Because it's just sad to say that we have to have martyrs. There's just too many martyrs.
But we don't really need. I think that's what Black people, and I kind of thought we did last week, a couple weeks. But do we really need the black, I can't say white hope, but the Black hope, riding on a horse and here I am to save the day. I think we had those, Martin Luther King. I think we have to put a plug in it there. We want that, and sometimes we lean on that when somebody comes along, and that's what happened with us when they don't do or feel like we think they should do. We get very disappointed. I think we have multiple people now, but the thing is, who are all the multiple people? We have multiple people of people now, and we need those people who have those voices, who have that reach, who have that connection. And I think is, where are you? We really do. We need you to just everybody just need to put your name in. Everybody put a name in the basket. Let's just come up with some names and
write your name down.
Put 10 people on the front row. Just put 10 people on the row. Okay, y'all 10, y'all, that's it now. Y'all lit. Okay, y'all lit. So we're gonna tag y'all lit now. So y'all got to be the voice. Y'all in front of the Million Man March in August. I don't think it's the Million Man March, but the March in August. But
yeah,
y'all lit.
It's
Y'all
like a reunion of it. The great thing about not having
the power to sit at the table, that has the political clout to sit at the table. Somebody asked me what was the difference between Malcolm and Martin, and I told them they asked me why we celebrate. Was it because Malcolm wasn't a Christian? I said, no, it's not that we don't celebrate Malcolm as much if it wasn't a Christian. What I said was, the difference for me is Malcolm sat with presidents. Martin sat with presidents. Malcolm didn't. And so for me, that's what made Martin so powerful, that he was pro-Black, but still was able to get to the White House. So he was able to get a seat at the table. You cannot change things without having a seat at the table. And that's what we need. We need people who have legitimate seats at the table. You guys remember when there was such a backlash with the Steve Harveys and all those Black guys when they were going to the White House, they were being called Uncle Toms and all those types of things. And I was saying, listen, if their motives are pure, we need somebody to be at the table, because someone said if you either at the table or you're on the menu. So that is what we need. We need people that are vocal, yes, but if they can't get in the room, then really what good is that? Because the room is where the change is going to happen, legitimately.
And and my thing is, when they get in the room, us as a people, we got to stop being so judgmental. You got to stop looking for the wrong, looking for the negative, or looking for this, or I remember him when he was in the 6th grade. He stole a pack of 9-laters. We got to stop looking, for the food. I had to say something foolish because it's foolish. We got to start looking for the foolishness of people, and allow them to work their gift. Allow them. Everything as President Obama did. I don't see that every one person agrees with as a Black person, me, myself. He's a good president. Oh, Lord, y'all don't come for me because y'all know I clap back.
America would never have a president that will make everybody happy. America wants a good guy to be the president, a good woman to be the president. Just be a good leader. You're not going to agree with every policy that person makes. That's not what it's about. I used to try to tell my people that, like, just because Obama did it even from a Christian standpoint, didn't necessarily make it right. He wasn't the pastor of America. He was the president of America. He was going to do things to help America, not just the Christians, not just. So we got to get out of that that narrative. But you said, somebody else said it other than me. I'm just happy because I get cool.
Listen, don't be putting me out there with you. Don't have people calling me to myself. Don't be talking about my president.
You know that
I
will
mean,
come
still
to
my wife don't. I don't
You know
like
that
my wife does. I'm still married to her. I mean, you don't have to like everything a person does in order to say.
I wouldn't say that because listen, Kim look like she don't play, so I ain't.
I'm too deep in, man. I got 20 years in.
20.
Yeah, I done come too far. I can't turn around.
See, y'all, Tanisha, you're talking about how we got to educate our kids, and I think that is valid, but we also have to recognize our deficits. And I think for a lot of people, they're realizing that they don't know a lot to teach their children. I was fortunate enough to be able to have Black history class in high school by the amazing Ricardo X. That was my professor's name. Shout out to him. He's my Facebook friend now. He taught me so much about history. And not only did I go to a historically Black high school, I went to a historically Black college. So I was able to learn some things that people didn't necessarily learn, so they can't necessarily teach. And then there's still that anti-slave mentality. My ancestors ain't slaves. I didn't come from that. And you're right, your ancestors are not slaves. They were enslaved, however. And that is a part of their narrative, while it is not the totality of their narrative. And I think we would do good to change our language, because there was a very large difference between a slave and someone who was enslaved. And our ancestors were enslaved. So that alone changes the narrative. Now, addressing Martin versus Malcolm, sitting at the table, I would honestly have to say that we don't necessarily need a singular leader or even a small group of leaders. I think one of the most powerful things we can do is stop fetishing our leaders, our celebrities, our athletes, and really start to build our communities, our individual communities. Because who may be a hero to you isn't a hero to me. Pastor A can't wait for sports to come back. I can't name 5 sports players. I don't know who they are, but God bless them. So that's not my area. So if we would actually allow the leaders to organically grow from the community, then we also not only allow our kids to be informed about history, but we allow them to be a part of history by being in the community with the leaders and telling the stories of marching with them, of protesting with them, of signing bills with them, as opposed to some random person they may never meet who's 10 states away and they just have a picture of them. Instead of saying Martin sat at the table, which he did, and Malcolm didn't, I applaud both of them. And I think the reason why we don't celebrate Malcolm as much is because he made his own table. And that was too much authority for a Black man.
So no, that's right.
And it was like, who does he think he is? That's too much. To this day, I respect the nation for that. Because at the end of the day, they say, I don't have to sit at your table. I'll make my own. And I wish more of us could make our own, because we've done it before with Black Wall Street. We've done it before with Seneca Park in New York. We've done it before, but we've been totally and completely demolished by the majority. And then what that does is it tells all the bystanders who actually survived, because of those instances, people died. So those survivors, it kills them from doing anything else. But if we can actually begin to build up our communities and have those Pompano leaders, have those Deerfield Beach leaders, have those Miami Gardens, Opelika leaders, and the young people, the older people, they actually see, oh, he used to do this, but look at what he does now. Not only will it be a great testament in history, but it'll also be an affirmation that people are not just what they've done, but people can actually grow from that. Because if I am remembering correctly, Malcolm X had quite a colorful history as well.
Right.
But he grew up to be a great leader. And I know you're not Pastor A. I am not attacking you. I want you to know, because you are bomb. And I don't think that, and I don't think you were. I'm just, sliding it in there though.
No, I agree with everything you're saying. Like I said, the question was raised to me. I love Malcolm X. I love what I was suggesting was Malcolm X was able. I'm sorry, Martin Luther King was able to get laws put in place. Is what remember now. The question was, why was he so celebrated? From a national perspective, it had nothing to do with me not liking. I love Malcolm X, but I think the understanding of it is because Martin had a seat at the table. He became the father of the civil rights movement. He was able to get the voting rights stuff passed, which Malcolm wasn't able to do that from a legislative perspective. There's two different conversations. There's the movement.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I don't think you even have to. I think
Malcolm had the movement, but we still needed the legislation in order to make it. You follow what I'm saying? So that's why both of them were equally important. But I believe that is why, because think about it, the history books have forgotten about Malcolm X. They forgot. We don't talk about him. We don't really talk about him. They're not a lot of streets named after him. They're not if Spike Lee really didn't do the movie, I don't think that most of our children in our generation would even know about Malcolm X.
You're absolutely right. But you know what, Pastor A, I also have to say as well, I think Martin Luther King's, and I hope this doesn't come across disrespectful, but I think that what is celebrated in Dr. King is a caricature of Dr. King, not the actual Dr. King, because Dr. King wasn't well liked. And it's documented that the FBI told him to kill himself. I think the caricature of Dr. King is a caricature that says, sit and be quiet until it's your turn to talk, colored people. Sit and be peaceful, and like Jesus, colored people. Like Martin, would Dr. King like that? Oh, Dr. King, to the fact that people are correcting his children, telling them how he would behave now, and that they're incorrect for speaking out. So I think they are using a caricature of Dr. King to pacify Black people, because there are other people. Fannie Lou Hamer, she stood up for voting rights. She stood up for people to be able to vote, and they beat her. And people still don't know who she is.
Right.
And she did that her entire life. So I think what they do is, because truth of the matter is, in predominantly white institutions and schools, all you hear about is Martin.
Right.
No, like nobody else exists, like nobody else marched. So it's almost like we'll take this piece because we can manipulate it, and we can put it on our hand, and we can make it talk when we want to. And we can say, Dr. King was for peace. Dr. King was nonviolent, because what I really want you to do is not be upset when I kill your son. What I really want you to do is not retaliate when I come into your daughter's house and shoot her 8 times and lock up her boyfriend for defending her. So I get what you're saying completely, and I am not arguing with you. I'm arguing with the caricature of Dr. King, that he was accepted by white people, because he was not accepted by white people. That's a lie.
And I don't think, to the other extreme, I don't think Malcolm was as violent as others suggested. As some would suggested that he would. I think that when you talk about the both of them, one is labeled as violent, one is labeled as nonviolent. But I don't think Malcolm X was known as, to me, my characterization, my research of him didn't appear that he was violent. He was more aggressive. He had more aggressive people around him. He didn't say the word peace as much as MLK did. But on the flip side of that, MLK was known to be angry at times too. But I think you're right. I think that people have used that peace tone to really kind of tone us down, I believe. But at the end of the day, they both got assassinated for making an impact. But so, and again, and it is another thing, and this is what I told somebody earlier. This is how we know that we don't have a Martin or a Malcolm, because unfortunately, nobody has died.
All right.
Don't get me started, Pastor A.
Because when you are a threat,
we have a time limit. Don't get me started.
When you are a threat, you get threatened. Mm-hmm. I'll leave it at that. And some of the people that saw MLK get threatened are still living today, and they're not getting threatened. Could it be they've learned that we want to do just enough not to be threatened. I'll leave it at that.
Well, we ain't gonna go there because we ain't got that much time. You know, have they learned to do just enough not to get threatened? That's because some people control, like you have a lot of politicians. Let's just go there for 1 minute. Like you have a lot of politicians, you know, they're almost puppets now. You know what I'm saying? They're puppets in what they do and what they say. You know, they may have a little charismatic for the black people or for the black vote, just enough to give us interest in, you know, but sometimes like they not saying what they should be saying because they have a wait, hold up now. You know, I don't want to say a harness because I want to say, you know, we animals, but some type of harness is saying, hold up, you can't say too much, you can't do too much, you can't put too much out there. You know, if you put too much out there, now you're showing your blackness. You know, if you put too much out there, now you're showing you just too indulged.
Because we have glorified being accepted by the white community. Like that is the badge. That is when you can rank if you have arrived, when you are accepted by the white community. When white people say, good boy, that means you done something. That means, you crossed. And that is what keeps people docile. But it's also because white people are telling the narrative. White people are saying, oh, no one speaks out here. If you want to get along here, then you got to join the good old boys. And that's the unfortunate thing that is keeping people tied down. But there are activists on the local level who are being killed. And the unfortunate thing is now you don't even have to kill an activist. We're just killing people just because we can. We're just shooting people in the back of police cars and saying they killed themselves because we can. We're just stringing people up on trees saying they committed suicide. Well, how'd they get up on the tree? Because we can. And so, that puts enough fear in people's hearts where people are like, listen, at the end of the day, I just want to see my children graduate from high school.
Right.
I just want to be here to raise my babies. I just want to be here to love my husband as long as I can. So people are nervous about stepping up, unfortunately. But I think
even allowing their children to go outside now.
So Teresa, I'm gonna ask you a question. How high can you get just to go with that? Because some people say that about Obama. They didn't think he was black enough on certain issues. How high can you get up politically to be that black person you're talking about? How high can you go? How far can you go politically and physically, like without being killed? Like who wants to sign up for that? That is the question I want to raise since you brought it up. How high can you really go? Will there be another opportunity if people are saying Obama wasn't black enough? Can somebody that was quote unquote blacker or talked out more than Obama, can they make it as high as he can?
Well, here's the thing. We have to stop measuring people's blackness by our own measuring stick. Because when we say you're not black enough, all we mean is you haven't met enough of my self-interest. Well, I didn't grow up in Hawaii, so there may be some things that he's dealing with that are just totally and completely different. So I don't get that argument because I just don't.
I mean radical. I mean from a radical perspective, like what you were saying, being radical and speaking truth, like you know what you know.
And I think that's what the protests are doing now. The protests are showing you now that I don't have to censor myself to be heard. I don't have to censor myself to be accepted. We've all dealt with two-ness. I think anybody that has spent a significant amount of the time in the United States has dealt with having to be one person publicly while being another person privately in some way, shape, or form. I haven't reached the academic heights that I've reached without knowing how to play the game. And I'm quite good at it. However, I know my end goal. And my end goal is for the little black girl who grew up in the West End, who was told by her guidance counselors, you're not really college material, to come back one day and be like, with a neck roll, what? Because I know there's other little girls out there just like me who maybe were mislabeled.
Okay, how high can you go doing the neck roll?
Listen, here's the thing, Pastor A. I can go as far as I can because qualifications have now gone out the window with a presidency. How high can I go with a neck roll? I can go as high as you allow me to go. as long as you don't hold my blackness against me, as long as you don't hold my gender against me. It's one thing to recognize that I'm a Black woman. It's another thing to say that is a liability. As long as society is allowed to look at my gender and my race as a liability, I will never get to go to the heights a white man or a Black man will get to go. But the moment we say she is a Black woman, she is intelligent, she can do the job, give it to her, I can keep going. But that comes on both sides. I need that from the Black community and I need that from the white community. So it's not necessarily a white conversation or a Black conversation. It's what can you do? What are your qualifications? Right. Because the truth of the matter is, I have been dismissed from jobs from Black and white communities because they say, well, she's a woman and we really kind of wanted a man. And they say this to my face. And I've even had jobs where I've trained my boss.
You know, ladies, I like to push y'all, so y'all know I'm a good adjective.
Well, what did I say earlier?
Listen, my heart's beating fast. I'm ready for you, Pastor A. I'm ready. Listen, let me get some water and sit back.
You know,
it's almost 9 o'clock. We're supposed to be done in an hour, and
that's what makes the show. I want them to see the real Teresa Lee. You want to show us this PhD. We want to see the net roll and all that. We tired of seeing the polished.
Let me fix my shirt and come back. Because Pastor A, listen,
because every show she reminds us of that college. We know you were the one of the baddest HBCUs in the land. You ain't got to keep reminding us that.
Fisk forever. Fisk forever.
She went to Alabama State, so you just dog her school every time when you talk about yours.
He starts something. He's trying to start
She ain't gonna tell you, but I will. She ain't gonna speak up about it, but I will. She takes
it's all good. But like I said earlier, I wanted to put this out. I said that the other day I did a show. Why you should listen to women. All right. And I'll just leave it at that.
Tell them, Tanisha, you might need to do a part 2.
Why you should listen to women. So guys, I want to thank all of you who have listened, who have tuned in.
I need you, bro.
Right. Yeah, he would have loved that. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's a young perspective. A young perspective. But David is not here, so we wish him well. He'll be back on next week. He's officially going to be a part of the Table Talk crew. So we have someone else. I think Teresa will be doing something on next. Okay, so the month of July and August, guys, we're gonna be doing. I'm saying this to our listeners. We're gonna be doing or having or speaking to, I guess, our politicians, because we know come August is voting time. So it would be fair for us to hear some of them. So we will have a few of them popping in and popping out for the next month of July. Yeah, it's only July because August is there. Yeah, July. So make sure that you guys are stay tuned. If you are someone who would like to be a part of the show, make sure to send your request. You can DM me or Table Talk Media PR at gmail.com. I also want to thank on this weekend I was able to be a part of. I think she's on there, Miss Pittman. She had a intimate conversation with some teens in our BSO local and our local Fort Lauderdale police department. It was very good. Next time, baby, ask me to help you. I would love to. There go me always jumping into something. I would love to to help out and do a little bit more. But I want to thank you guys. Guys, make sure you stay tuned for next week for the Table Talk Radio Show. We'll be here at 7 p.m. Thank you. You guys have a great night. Hang on, my.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.